Right from the start is a legislative and budget campaign to advance policies that will help ensure all babies and young children and their families get off to the right start, regardless of race, ethnicity, immigration status, family structure, family income, or zip code. We are here today to review the 2024 state legislative and budget priorities of the campaign, and we have three amazing people who are part of the steering committee who will briefly go over all 13 campaign priorities, very briefly, one or two sentences about each. We'll also hear from the governor, the speaker, and the Senate Majority Leader, who are all trying to cover several different events, so we're going to roll with the punches, and when somebody gets here, we will introduce them and get ready to go. So we might do things in a slightly different order, but we're excited that we have such high-level leaders who are here to help us celebrate the launch of the campaign. We also have an amazing toddler teacher from Woonsocket who we'll hear from. A mom of three from West Warwick who is also a labor and delivery nurse. She couldn't be here today in person because she's got a very important job delivering babies, but we have an amazing 3-minute video where you can see her whole family that will play as well. So I see the speaker is here. Thank you very much, and I'll just get right to him after we briefly recognize 8 partners in the campaign. Beautiful Beginnings, Khadija Lewis Kahn is here. Economic Progress Institute, Wayona Nelson Davies and Divya Nair are here. Latino Policy Institute, I think Marcella is not here, but she was going to be here. Awilda is here. Awilda is here. Awilda is here. Parents Leading for Educational Equity, Ramona Santos Torres is here. Rhode Island Association for the Education of Young Children, Lisa Hildebrand and her amazing staff, 4 or 5 of them are here, and are an amazing help for all kinds of things, including Strolling Thunder, which is our big event that we have in May. The Rhode Island Association for Infant Mental Health, Sheila Grant Orphanides is here. The Rhode Island Head Start Association, Mary Varr is here, and Rhode Island Kids Count. Paige and Stephanie and Kaitlyn are all here, and we're excited to coordinate the campaign. We have so many elected officials here joining us today, and so many champions of issues important to children and their families, including Governor McKee, Speaker Shekarchi, and Senate Leader Pearson. We will hear from all 3 in a minute, but I wanted to recognize others, many of whom are lead bill sponsors and are in the room for legislation we will be discussing today. Representative Grace Diaz, Representative Susan Donovan, Representative Shawcross Smith, Representative Joe McNamara, Representative Scott Slater, Representative Joshua Giraldo, Representative Lauren Carson, Representative Megan Cotter, Representative Kathy Fogarty, Representative Karen Alzate, Representative Art Handy, and Representative William O'Brien. And then on the Senate side, we have Whip Valerie Lawson, Senator Sandra Cano, Senator Alana DeMario, Senator Hannah Gallo, Senator Bridget Valverde, Senator Pam Loria, Senator Josh Miller, Senator Melissa Murray, and Senator Walter Felag. And we'll have people coming in and out because there's an environment rally also happening and a small business committee meeting, I know. So with that, I know the speaker has a busy schedule. I'll just briefly introduce him and he can give remarks. We have so many strong leaders who work hard to advance policies that help babies and young children in the House. We are particularly thankful to Speaker Shekarchi's help last year in bringing a budget amendment to the floor which brought in $7 million in new funding for early childhood programs. This funding is helping to provide competitive wages for early Head Start and Head Start teachers so some of the closed classrooms could reopen. Because of the staffing crisis, many Head Start and early Head Start classrooms have been closed because they can't find staff. And we've also been able to launch a brand new Childcare for Childcare Educators program that DHS has done an amazing job getting launched in August. It's modeled after a policy in Kentucky, and it helps keep childcare classrooms staffed by covering the cost of childcare for frontline staff who work in these childcare programs. And the latest data shows that about 50% of childcare centers in Rhode Island statewide have at least one staff person who's already participating in this program. So those are all. Thank you very much to Speaker Shekarchi's amazing help, and I'll turn over to him next. Thank you, Speaker Shekarchi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Leanne, thank you. You continue to do a phenomenal job. It's a great opportunity. I certainly want to acknowledge a lot of the people in the room. I know Leanne did, but I have to be, my job as speaker is to recognize my members, and I want to start, obviously, with my leader, Chris Blazajewski. Chris is by the door. We're going to talk about some of the great things that we've done. We want to do. None of that happens without Chris's input, his help. He's a great floor manager. He's a great friend, and he helps me in so many ways. And when we sit down, we go through the budget. Every single briefing, every single meeting, Chris is there, and he's advocating as we are. I want to certainly recognize Representative Susan Donovan, Representative Grace Diaz, Representative Lauren Carson, Rep. Bob Phillips, Representative Sherry Cruz, and of course, Mary Ann Shawcross-Smith. She is Mrs. Daycare, I call her, or Dr. Daycare, or Mrs. Dr. Daycare. She's phenomenal, and she's more of an advocate, and she brings the practical effect. Speaker, this is what will work. This is what will get effective. She'll get it done. Absolutely, and of course, my good friend Paige. We'll get to you in a minute. So I really want to thank everybody in this room for this continued support for childcare, for Rhode Island Childcare Education's pilot program, and the general budget. We're supporting and helping Rhode Islanders and early educators, Head Start and pre-K funding. Thank to all of you advocates who are here today for your important work. I want to talk a little bit about what the General Assembly is doing to support your efforts. Last year, the General Assembly amended our 2024 budget after we got feedback from you, and that's not an easy thing to do, because a budget, as you know, takes all session to do. We get our revenue numbers in May, we put our budget together, and then we were able to find a few more dollars, cost of about $7 million. $3 million went into the president with our friends in the Senate, and I know Leader Pearson's here. $3 million went into the Head Start and early Head Start seats, and $4 million were for a pilot program to expand eligibility for child care at no cost to certain child care workers, because you can't have child care without child care workers. So we had to incentivize the workers to come there. And of course, my favorite, Senator Gallo. I know I get in trouble with your colleagues when I say that, but I will continue to say that. I don't worry about the Senate, I worry about the House. So Hannah is my favorite, and yes, Ryan, she's my favorite, sorry. Finding an affordable and quality child care is challenging, in part due to the significant shortage of workers within the child care field. And child care workers themselves often struggle to afford care for their own children. I was proud to join many of you in this room in Warwick recently to celebrate the kickoff of Child Care for Child Educators pilot program. The program expands options for quality, affordable child care while providing incentives for individuals to join the ranks of the much-needed child care profession in the state. Just like every other employment opportunity across the spectrum of employment, we have shortages, and we need to deliver where we can do the most good. State dollars are precious, and we have to be very wise in where we spend them. I want to thank all of you again for your advocacy. It's delivering results. So people say to me, Speaker, how do you decide which programs you're going to fund? The ones that work, the ones that do the most good, the ones that give us the best returns. And time in and time again, it's because of your advocacy, we're supporting a lot of childhood programs. I'm going to continue that. So with that, I want to say to you, please keep weighing in on issues that important. Please keep telling us what's going on in early childhood field. We rely on your input to guide us in our decision-making process. Thank you. Please continue to advocate. This is so critically important for the future of our state. Thank you very much, and I wish you a great opportunity and a great session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to go to the Senate, and we'll hear from Senate Majority Leader Ryan Pearson. But first, I want to say the Senate has been a steady, strong supporter of our campaign priorities over the years, including child care and pre-K. This year, we are thrilled to see the Senate President has come out in strong support of improving the state's paid family leave program, which helps over 6,000 parents per year stay home to take care of new babies. And now we'll hear from Senate Majority Leader Ryan Pearson.
Thank you, Leanne, and it's so good to be here with all of you and so many of my colleagues. The Right from the Start campaign is an important day here in the State House calendar. It's one that I know many of us look forward to because we share your passion on these issues and we share your priorities. The campaign and the organizations that really bring this group together are incredibly valuable. And the respect that you've earned in both the Senate and the House, I think is tremendous. And I've told this story, I think, at small groups before, but when I was finance chairman, I used to flip through pages and pages and pages of testimony, and I was looking for the Right from the Start logo. Because when I needed good policy and good ideas and good solutions to deal with many of the issues that were so important to our members, I knew I could count on this organization, your advocacy, and you've earned that. And we look forward to continuing to partner with you as we do that. I want to recognize my colleagues that are here with me today: President Gallo, Chairwoman Cano, Senator Loria, Senator Valverde, Chairman Miller, and Chairman Filak. They've all been instrumental and have continued to allow us to put focus and put attention on these issues. And I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about a few things that, with their leadership and with their pushing, I want you to know who the senators are who are forceful behind some of these issues. As you know, Rhode Island is on a path to universal pre-kindergarten. It is not a fast path, but it is a path. And President Gallo has championed that for many years, starting with when she was pushing for universal kindergarten. And now she's moving on to universal pre-kindergarten. I'm not sure what she's going to move on to after that, but we will certainly find out. We were also very thankful this year, a lot of work with Chairman DePalma and the Finance Committee that Senator Cano sits on. I know she was a big voice on this, really retaining the Head Start and the early Head Starts by replacing some of those federal dollars with state dollars, making sure we do not lose any traction on that issue. I also want to recognize Senator Valverde for her efforts on early intervention. She has been I could tell you how many times she's mentioned those issues to me, and making sure that we understand and we're getting to the children at the youngest age and making sure they receive the services that they need. And I want to thank Senator Valverde for her efforts on that. Also thinking about childcare. Senator Cano and Senator DeMario co-chair our task force on that issue when we've passed the Child Care is Essential Act. We passed the Early Educator Investment Act, and really importantly, this year we started the $4 million pilot program around childcare for childcare educators. Makes sense, and I think it's something we look forward to continuing to work on. As we go forward in this session, we share the priorities of Right from the Start. We believe that most of those things we should be able to make progress on, and we look forward to working with you. One of the ones that we are incredibly proud to support is Whip Lawson's expansion of TCI coverage. Rhode Island was once a leader on this. I remember when we first passed this, and former Senator Golden was a big champion of that issue, and she pushed us. And Rhode Island was a leader. We've fallen a bit behind as other states have caught up, and we need to make sure that Rhode Island continues to do that. So we're very committed to that issue, and many. We believe that it's very important to continue serving working families and expanding opportunities for every resident in Rhode Island. So I just want to say thank you for your work, thank you for your partnership, and I want to also just close by thanking the Speaker and the Governor for their strong partnership. The Senate would not be able to do any of this alone. We appreciate both of their leadership and partnership on these issues as well. Thank you very much.
And we have the governor who should be here shortly, but to keep things rolling along, I think we'll have Lisa Hildebrand go next and go over our early care and education priorities. So Lisa is an amazing leader on these issues.
Okay, so I only have a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk fast, which is very natural for me. Reviewing our early care and education priorities. We have quite a few of them, and the first one really is to solve our early educator staffing crisis. You heard Leanne and the speakers speak about the fact that we have classrooms that are closed. Families cannot access childcare and early learning opportunities at this point with closed classrooms. And the reason those classrooms are closed is because there are not early educators to put in those classrooms. So our priorities include expanding and continuing the Childcare for Childcare Educators pilot, and passing the Early Educator Compensation Stabilization Act, which is a little bit of a mouthful, but I want to highlight that one because it does include additional money to fund a couple of programs that started over the last year or two that will end in 2024 if they are not funded. That includes the childcare wages pilot, which we have an early educator here today with us, Jillian, who is a recipient of a wages supplement, who's going to talk about how impactful that is for her family, and also to continue the pandemic retention bonuses, which began during the pandemic and will end because that is money that is no longer available. We also want to pass the Early Care and Education Workforce Data Act, which allows for a continuation of our workforce registry. We also want to expand and strengthen the Rhode Island Child Care Assistance Program. There are a number of strategies under that particular piece of legislation, including helping to support our families in raising eligibility. And investing additional money for our infant and toddler classrooms, because those are the lowest funded and really need our continued support. We want to continue to expand our RI pre-K program and really ensure that the state continues to follow the plan that a lot of time and effort went into to develop, and we need to continue to make sure that that plan is being executed. And we want to sustain and strengthen our Head Start and Early Head Start programs. You heard that we had some additional funding that was provided for us in the last budget, and we want to make sure that that state funding continues to strengthen those Head Start programs. And finally, we are interested in raising more state revenue so that we can pay for all of these early care and education supports. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back on to Leanne.
Thank you, Lisa. And we have our amazing Governor Dan McKee, who we're so delighted that he's joined us at this event. He was a rock star at Strolling Thunder with the little kid with the microphone standing right next to him. So we're very thankful to Governor McKee for providing us a running start on our 2024 campaign by including two key priorities in his FY25 budget, and specifically funding to increase rates for the early intervention program, which went for 20 years without a rate increase, got one a couple years ago, but we still have this stubborn waiting list of infants and toddlers, and we know that investments in the infant toddler years help kids catch up, and they often don't need lots of services later on. And we are also delighted to see the funding for pre-K. So we're delighted to have Governor McKee give us some remarks. Thank you so much.
Well, hello everyone, and geez, I was just in this room here talking about a movie that's going to happen here in Rhode Island, and that brings a little fun to the state, and then to be here to talk about objectives that have to do with the youngest of the people that live in the state of Rhode Island. We really want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can, and making sure that we are doing everything that we can, right? So I did mention, well, first of all, I partnering in with the House, the Senate, and their leadership as well. So I thank them. Looking forward to kind of continuing that work in our meetings that we address every week. But I did mention in my State of the State address that I am a grandparent for the first time. Actually had the first birthday for Mabel James in East Providence the other day, and I got invited to my wife Susan and I with Laura and my son Matt and Mabel James to have a smash cake party. Now, has anybody been into a smash cake party before? So we had a nice cake that was done and put it in front of Mabel James. We got it recorded, so I know that anybody's gone through that. I can just tell you my wife Susan is thrilled to have that tape. So I think it's important, and she certainly, the young people in our lives remind us why we're doing the work that we're doing today, knowing that the next generation is is really pivotal in terms of the state's, the progress that we are making. And that's one of the reasons we're talking about raising incomes in the state of Rhode Island, right? So a minimum of $20,000. We'll have more details to come, just like I did when I announced that we were going to meet or exceed Massachusetts education levels by 2030. And 100 days later, we had a plan, and now 38 out of 39 communities have joined in that plan, and learning centers are going to open up because of the support from the General Assembly members around the state of Rhode Island to provide that extra time out of school on learning, on job issues, and also on health. So we continue to work in ways that strategically strategizes in terms of the long-term benefits of the investments we make today and the benefit that it's going to provide to the people who live in the state of Rhode Island, in years to come. So you did mention that we are on track again on the pre-K issue, 35 pre-K classrooms totaling 700 seats for the start of 2024 school year, 24-25. We're committed to that notion of continuing those seats over the next several years. This will bring the total number of pre-K seats to 3,000. Our goal was 5,000 by 2028. And with the help of the General Assembly members, we'll make that happen, right? And so also talking about the lunch issues, we put in the budget. Again, budgets are important and we balance it, but I think that proposing transitioning roughly over 6,500 students from who were eligible for reduced price lunch and get the reduced out of there and actually cover that cost for the breakfast and lunch is a good way to kind of address the people who are economically challenged in ways that we're identifying that. And then also the fully funding the early intervention. That comes from the advocacy of people that have met with me and talked about the importance of that, and we were able to kind of make the budget balance in that way. So we're fully funding that early intervention rate increase and proposing over $135 million in investments to increase additional health care provider rates and support the behavioral health needs of Rhode Island of all ages. Some provider rates have not been increased, as we know, for several years, and so we're taking action on that. So I look forward to continued partnership and collaboration with everyone in the room today, along with all our General Assembly members in front of me here who are advocating for this as well. You got to make sure that we're doing what we can to help the young people that live in our state. And we intend to do that, and I think the goals that we've set, both on education, on jobs issues in terms of training, investment in higher ed, where we expect that, Mabel James and all her peers at 1 year old are going to be there someday, to the investment we're making in higher ed and the career paths that we're investing in, which are long-term strategies for the young people in the state of Rhode Island. We're in a position right now to do that, and with the General Assembly's help talking through them in terms of the particulars of the budget that we passed, I believe that we are tracking pretty good, and I always remind our staff that there's another budget coming in 8 months. And so as we continually progressively make that progress, I believe that with your leadership and the people leadership in this room, it's identifying very important areas that, as a governor, I'm interested in. So thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, perfect timing. So we're going to transition to a video of the mom who's unable to join us here, Bernelle Richardson. She's actually our strolling thunder mom who got to bring her baby to D.C. to advocate at the federal level. She is a labor and delivery nurse and lives in West Warwick. Bernelle had great support from the Early Head Start program when she came to Early Head Start, and they helped support her very young children as she completed her nursing degree, which enabled her to get a middle-class job. And that was when her older children were babies. Now she's leveled up to the middle class. Her husband has a great job as a welder, but they are really struggling to pay for high-quality childcare for 3 children. So let's watch this just 3-minute video. Thanks, Kaitlyn.
The Early Head Start program is a funded program, and it creates quality education for low-income families and working families. It gives them the ability to go to work and know that their children are in a safe environment that provides them with a proper education and quality, equitable education, where that you drop your children off and they're getting cared for appropriately, as well as the level of education being taught to them is meeting, the standards. Childcare is expensive, was expensive back then and remains expensive. Even as a nurse now, it's still difficult for me to pay childcare. It takes up more than half of my salary. And back then, it took off all my salary. I didn't have money to send my son to school. So that left me the option of, do I go to school or do I stay home to take care of my children and not have employment or the ability to be employed further because of how expensive childcare was? Having Head Start as an option was very, very, very helpful because I was able to send my kids to school and be able to get an education for myself and try to level up. When you don't have quality care, you're always grappling to find persons to help you, and that's not reliable. It's not surety. You have a lot of last-minute changes, and that makes it very difficult for an employer to understand, hey, I'm having childcare problems. So when you have the ability to be part of a program like Head Start, you know that you have reliable, affordable, and quality childcare. So that gives you the ability to be more marketable to an employer. We're not asking for handouts. We're just asking for hand-ups. We're asking to help us create a strong foundation for our children where we're not starving to create that, where we're making livable wages and our children still have the ability to get affordable and quality childcare. We need funding, and we need funding now because families are struggling. People get the lights turned off. And just by helping with childcare, just by increasing that budget and helping with childcare, you create a space for people to be present in the workforce. Childcare is the base of a lot of the challenges that we have. And if we have childcare, mothers, fathers could get up and go to work and not worry about where the next meal is coming from because they know, okay, I have that covered. My child is in a safe environment, the child is getting educated, they're meeting their milestones, or even if they're not meeting their milestones, those things are still getting addressed while I'm able to work and sustain and maintain my family. By increasing that threshold, more families could take advantage of this program and be able to level up, and you can have more people working. And that's what we want. We want a community that works because then we're more fruitful. We're able to give back into those programs if more people are working. So we're not asking for a handout. We're asking for a way so that more of us can continue working and be successful to help invest into our communities and to create a equitable livelihood for all families, not just mine, all families in Rhode Island and across America.
I hope you all can meet Bernelle in person someday. Can you imagine a more important job than labor and delivery nurse in Rhode Island? And we know that her having reliable, affordable childcare is essential for her to be able to show up at work every day. And now we're going to hear from an early educator, but before we do, I know there's a few people who may not have been in the room when we did some recognitions, but Senator Valverde is here, Rep. Camille Vella-Wilkinson, I think Senator DeMario, Senator Melissa Murray, who we did recognize, Nicole Cello from DHS. I didn't recognize her, but I wave at her. And Leader Blazejewski was here earlier. So with that, I'm going to now turn it over to Jillian Cinquantini, who is a toddler teacher at Connecting for Children and Families in Woonsocket. And she has benefited from many of the investments made in recent years to help address the staffing crisis in early care and education. And she's also a mom. So let me turn it over to Jillian.
Hi, my name is Jillian Cinquantini. As a parent and educator, I stand before you today to express the gratitude that I have for our lawmakers and all of the persons working tirelessly to advocate equitable wages for educators like myself. For the past 15 years, I've been working as a teacher at Connecting for Children and Families, a Woonsocket-based organization that provides not only a 5-star, Bright Star rated early education, but also an after-school program, workforce development, and other family supports. Until now, I've had the honor to participate in the Pandemic Retention Bonus Program, which on an approval system gives monetary stipends to active early educators in licensed educational facilities. Just recently, I was additionally awarded the opportunity to receive an education-based salary supplement called Step Up to Wages RI. I understand that many people applied to receive this benefit, but of those who applied, only few were awarded it. I am so very thankful to be one of them. I feel honored and blessed that this program exists, as the supplemental income has been extremely beneficial to my family in many indescribable ways, some of which include fueling my family with healthier food access, childcare payments, family health needs, keeping up with rising costs of utilities and other bills. With inflation happening all around us, it is because of this program and programs like these that in the last few years alone, I was able to remain an educator. I couldn't imagine having to leave the field of teaching or CCF, my home for the last 15 years, both of which I have so much love and passion for. I truly believe these programs and access to them have been extremely helpful in increasing staff retention, creating educational opportunities, as well as drawing in qualified educators. All of these things are essential to running a thriving early education program. It is important that today, in this moment and moving forward, we stand together with one another in this crucial mission to invest in families and children, as well as our educators, right from the very start. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. I wish everybody who has a toddler had such an amazing teacher as you. Toddler teachers have so much patience and energy in the ones that I have met in particular. So now we're going to switch to going over the remaining priorities in the campaign, including our health and development ones that Kaitlyn will go over, and Divya will go over the family economic security ones. And as you listen to these, I know it can seem like a lot, but it is a recipe and not a menu that states across the country have to make progress in all of these areas in order to make sure our families with young children can thrive. So let me turn over to Kaitlyn, who does health policy at Rhode Island Kids Count.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Leanne. So I'm going to introduce our health and development priorities. And these are important investments that will make sure that all Rhode Island babies get off to the right start. So first is the Act to Stabilize Health Coverage for Young Children. So this would join 12 other leading states and DC by adopting continuous Medicaid coverage for all income-eligible children from birth through age 5 years old. So this policy really helps ensure that babies and young children with Medicaid insurance, which is over 50% of Rhode Island children, or young Rhode Island children, have consistent access to preventative, specialized, and timely health care services. Next is ending the waiting list for EI. Leanne talked about that a little bit, so that Rhode Island can serve every child in need. So steps to do this include provide a 25% Medicaid rate increase to fully staff EI and programs, establish an annual cost of living adjustment for the rates, and 3, to add early intervention staff to the Childcare for Child Educators program. Next, establish an early childhood IDEA task force that will create a public and private task force to develop a comprehensive financing and staffing plan to ensure that children from birth to kindergarten entry receive high-quality early childhood IDEA services across both EI and preschool special education. Next is saving the First Connections newborn home visiting program by making the long-needed rate increase permanent for Rhode Island, the Rhode Island First Connections program, to prevent substantial rate cuts scheduled for July 1st. In addition, establish an annual cost of living adjustment for home visiting rates, and develop a plan to sustain and expand voluntary family home visiting services so that high-quality home visiting programs are offered to all families who can benefit. And finally, we need to meet the mental health needs of moms and young children. So to develop a plan, the Rhode Island Early Childhood Mental Health Professional Hub, to train and support professionals to better treat mental health challenges for young children, and also sustain the Moms PRN and PD PRN teleconsultation programs that are helping perinatal and pediatric care providers and professionals effectively manage maternal and pediatric mental health needs.
Kaitlyn. Thank you, Kaitlyn. Hannah seemed like she really appreciated that overview of health and development. We're happy to have Hannah here. And now I'm going to turn over to Divya Nair from the Economic Progress Institute, who is going to go over family economic security priorities, which is only 3. We're all close to done.
All right. Hello, everyone. So family economic security is critical not only for maintaining financial stability for Rhode Island's diverse communities, but also for the state to have a stable workforce and a thriving economy. Unfortunately, EPI's Rhode Island Standard of Need report shows that most Rhode Islanders are not able to meet their most basic needs, with 70% of single parents with 2 children not able to meet their basic needs. Rhode Islanders value children, families, safety, and security, and our policy should reflect those values. This is why we need to expand our state's paid family leave program to allow workers to use 12 weeks of time to take care of their seriously ill loved ones and bond with their new children. We also need to... All right. Thank you. We also need to make sure that it's equitable by raising the minimum wage replacement, to make it equitable for minimum wage workers and essential workers. And as Leader Pearson said, make Rhode Island a leader once again in providing paid family leave to our families. Rhode Island's most vulnerable children and families also need us to expand the Rhode Island Works program to ensure that they're not living in deep poverty. This includes increasing the monthly benefit amount to 50% and adjusting them to inflation so it doesn't go down each year, ensuring that children and families aren't kicked off of the program by repealing full family sanctions. It also make the program more equitable by allowing legal permanent residents to have access to the same benefits as they did in 2008, prior to 2008. Sorry, one more. We also need to raise the earned income tax credit to lift hardworking Rhode Islanders out of poverty and help them move towards financial freedom. Rhode Island is severely lagging behind our neighbors in Massachusetts and Connecticut. They have 40%. We have 16%. We can do better. And together we can work to make Rhode Island a better, safer, and more secure state for workers, children, and families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divya. Now we have our final closing speaker, Khadija, who's an amazing human being for everybody who's had her kids enrolled at their program, including little Hannah. And she's such a bright ray of sunshine. Whenever we get down in the dumps and think, oh, we're never going to make progress, she said, Leanne, we can do this. So let me turn it over to Khadija for closing remarks.
I hope you feel the sun rays because we are very hopeful with this year's budget. I know we were thankful for the investments last year that came through after the budget came out to help really shore up our childcare programs. But now that COVID funding is ending, which may end some of the things like Jillian was talking about, our great educators, retention bonuses and bonuses that reward the education that they've attained in the field. We really need to push this year for everybody to support the Right from the Start agenda. So this is my 4th year being on the Right from the Start committee, and being at this kickoff event is an honor. We thank all of the legislators that have taken their time to champion legislation that supports our young children and families. I'm the executive director of Beautiful Beginnings Childcare Center. We serve infants through pre-kindergarten children. We have early Head Start in our building and also Rhode Island pre-K. And to say that these last years have been challenging would be an understatement. Going through COVID, the COVID pandemic, I think we've all felt it. It has been a challenge. A lot of programs are struggling with keeping classrooms open, and we have a large need. Many families are on waiting lists, and we want to really make sure that we can still attract and retain our amazing educators in the field. So coming together for this Right from the Start campaign, we have the opportunity to share our challenges with the elected officials and come up with solutions. Just like roads and bridges, childcare gets families to work, and that's what we need. We need to make sure we're supporting this infrastructure. The parent that was in the video is one of our families, talking about how the cost of care is quite high. So Rhode Island has the lowest level of eligibility of any New England state for families to qualify for child care assistance. So many families who need it are not able to get the assistance that they need, and that needs to change. We need to support a revenue source to get that done. So the Right from the Start steering committee supports revenue for Rhode Island. We know that we need revenue in order to support these families that will get our children off to the right start. So health and development, economic security, and child care, we need to support all of them. It is a recipe, as Leanne said, and it is not a menu. I love that Leader Shekarchi said, keep on reminding us, right? He said that at the beginning. He said, we need to hear from you. Keep on reminding us that our youngest children are important. They can't speak for themselves, so we're here to speak for them, and we're going to continue to be loud and clear and make sure nobody forgets about our youngest children and families. Thank you all for coming today. Remember to visit the Right from the Start Rhode Island.org to contact your legislator. There's a call to action, and please take a look at your emails and support the campaign. Reach out to your legislators. They want to hear from you. So thank you. Thanks for attending today.